as you guys can see from the title, today I want to share with you guys my most palettes of 2024. What palettes did I pull out the most? What palettes were used the most because of a project pan? I have both statistics for you guys today. So if you're interested to see where my palettes landed, stay tuned. So throughout the year of 2024, I kept a spreadsheet of each month, what palettes were used in a project pan, how many uses that month, versus what palettes I gradually grabbed on my own naturally without it being in a project pan or being told what to use, and how many times I used those. I will tell you, looking at my spreadsheet, a lot of palettes got one use out of them. To me, that's still a win, because if I didn't tally that up, I wouldn't see what I was liking, what I should have decluttered back in August when I did do my major declutter, what it is that I'm looking for to keep in my collection to constantly gravitate for and use and love. I just want products in my collection that I'm gonna love and gonna enjoy. I will give you guys a heads up in 2025, now that I dwindle it down even more, I went ahead and split my eyeshadow palettes into drawers of what I normally use and what I don't use, and I want to see where I reach for throughout the year, and then I am most likely going to end up doing another declutter of eyeshadow palettes next year. Just a forecast of what I'm thinking, what my process is going through, because I feel like I'm already gravitating towards certain drawers more than others, and that's just giving me an indication of what it is that I'm going to be reaching for in 2025. But you're not here for that. You're here to see what palettes made the cut and how many uses each of them got. So let's get into it. All right, so first off, I want to share with you guys my top 5 palettes that were used the most because of a project. Now, the 5 that I'm going to share with you guys today were specifically in one project pan, and that's what got me to use these as many times as I did. As you know, I did a project 50 uses, and if you didn't know, yes, I did it in 2024. I wasn't 100% successful with it, but I was able to use quite a few palettes, more than just one time, 5 times, even 10 times. A lot of palettes got more than 10 uses out of this. But there was 5 palettes where I reached my goal of 50 uses. Each of these palettes got 50 uses, and for me, that is a total win, because I could not say that with a lot of palettes, with the exception of maybe one in this whole entire pile, where I could see myself getting over 50 uses without even having to be forced to do it. All right, so let's start out with the smallest one, because this one completely surprised me, because I am somebody who likes a palette. My sweet spot is probably around like 9, 10 shadows, all the way up to like 15 eyeshadows. Like, that's my sweet spot when it comes to eyeshadow palettes. I'm not somebody who likes to reach for palettes that are small, quads, trios. Like, that's not really my jam unless it's like toppers or specialty shadows. But this one surprised me. I ended up getting 50 uses out of my Natasha Denona Mini Star. And I will say that these were beautiful. The majority of it came from this shadow, but I did actually enjoy this palette. It served its purpose for me and giving me a little bit of glam or a little bit of color without it being all over the place. I actually really enjoyed this. I actually want to bring this one back out. It's been a while. So this one got 50 uses this year, which is a very proud moment for me. The second one is something that surprised me as well, because I'm not somebody who reaches for a lot of cool tones. So this one was another one that I was surprised about. That is the Viseart Bridal Satin Palette. Now, I am assuming this one is still being made, but in the smaller version. I have quite a few of the larger versions, and then they changed them into the smaller palettes to make them more affordable, which makes complete sense. But this is the bridal one. And you guys, I got 50 uses out of this one as well. But if you're looking at this in person, I can see a little bit of slight dips in these 2 shades up here. But other than that, I really can't see much dips in these. These are gonna last me a lifetime. Beautiful. It made me fall in love with Viseart's formula all over again. They're very sophisticated. They're very just nice. Like, if you're, I don't know, like they're very comparable to MAC. And if you want it to glisten and glitter, just put a glitter topper on top of them and you're set to go. I feel like these are beautiful and they stand the test of time. So 50 uses out of this one. I fell in love with this one, which I didn't think I would, but I actually was a total fan of that one. I pulled this one out this year with 0 uses starting out. This palette was still brand new in my collection. No, I take that back. It's probably like 3 or 4 uses out of it. This is the Natasha Denona Star palette. And you can see I love this one this year. It is one of my favorites because you're getting warmer tones and then you're getting cooler tones. So it works for both times of the year. And yes, this is almost like basically the dupes for this side over here. As she's gotten better with palette releases, she doesn't replicate as many shadows anymore, or at least doesn't try to. So I feel like she's gotten better with that, but this palette is just, wow. And I know some people either go the one way where they like the new formula more than the older formula. And then I know some people like the older formula more than the newer formula. So I guess it depends on what you prefer. I like both. I have no preference on either one. I feel like both serve a purpose of what kind of look I want. And this one was beautiful for an everyday palette. Absolutely beautiful. I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, I want to pull this one back out again. It is stunning. I really, really did like it. And this one got 50 uses from me, so I'm very proud of myself for doing that. The fourth one was a tough one. I will tell you, this one was tough because it was more of like a companion palette. It really couldn't, well, unless I was doing a one and done shadow, I needed to pull other things out, but I was okay with that. And that is the Pat McGrath here. I have the packaging here because I always keep these boxes because God forbid she puts it on here. It's too expensive for her to put the print on here. Come on, come on. So this is the Decadence one. So I pulled this one out and I got 50 uses out of it. And you could see that this one did get used. But again, this is more of like a companion palette. I actually wanted to, like if I were, this shade would be the closest to what I'm wearing on my eyelids today. And I really like it. So anyway, my point is I got 50 uses out of it. I did really, really like her formula is nice. It's not like extraordinary, but it is nice. I feel like some people are very harsh with her formula and like downgrade it because of indie brands and stuff, but you gotta think about it in the long term. This one will last me far longer in my collection than an indie brand. It would, because I feel like she really puts ingredients, good, well ingredients, and you're paying for that versus an indie brand. And I'm not saying all, so don't put it all in an umbrella and get all your panties in a bunch, but I'm just thinking about it logically long term. This one will last me a lot longer in my collection because she's putting better ingredients than indie brands would, because they're a smaller company, their reach isn't that strong, or their pockets aren't that deep to be able to put those same ingredients in their formula. So as much as people knock on her for being expensive or her formulas or indie brands are a lot better, for me, I'd rather pay this on a discount, obviously, because she's always getting like, right, I think this time of year she's probably gonna get 30% off, 40% off, and you can get these at a rather reasonable price for her, and you're gonna get it for a long term. So I feel like she is worth it if you're looking for that. And this is the companion pen. I'm very happy that I got to know this kind of formula, which is more of like her satin metallic-y kind of formula, and not so much her metallic, or like her special shades, I should say. I got to know her in her satin form, and I do like it. I think she has a safe formula. She has a formula that you can rely on and trust, at least for me, and especially my oily lids, you guys. That's why I'm talking the way I'm talking, because not a lot of indie brands last on my eyeballs. It's very difficult to find one of them being Sydney Grace that lasts on my eyes. Other than I have a very hard time because they don't last. Last but not least is Sultry palette. This is no surprise. This one is something that I'm not surprised about. This one I rolled in with already 2 pans in it. This has been one of my favorite color stories that Anastasia's ever come out with. It's just so beautiful to me. I love it. And every time I see it, I want to pull it back out. This, as I was pulling it out for this video, is going to go back into my everyday drawers because I want to use it again. I just love it so much. So for me, 50 uses out of this one. It had far more uses prior to me bringing it in. So this one was the easiest and the quickest usage that I've gotten in a palette all year long, and it came natural to me. It just came natural. So this is one of my favorites. I ended up hitting pan on this shade, I believe, naturally. My goal was not to hit pan in this project pan that I was doing the 50 uses on, so it just worked out fine for me. So yeah, this one out of all of them was the one that just naturally came to me. So I'm not shocked, and most of you probably are not shocked at that too. All right, so obviously those are the 5 palettes that were in a project pan. These 5 palettes were not in a project pan. So I will share with you guys how many uses each of them got, and they're gonna sound a little bit pathetic versus the 50 uses, but this is what I'm telling you guys. I reached for a lot of palettes that had just one use in them, that I just grabbed for one look and not necessarily repeated it unless I was testing it out for a specific video. So I kept that in mind as well. So the first one I want to share with you guys is the Too Faced Appley in Love. This one got 4 uses out of me, and I feel like I used it more than that, but on paper it's showing 4 uses. Part of it was because I was testing it out for you guys, but also part of it was because I was genuinely enjoying this one. This is actually a really nice palette. The formula was great. This color combo right here was one of my favorites, and I can really see all the usage on that one. I can definitely tell that I used that one quite a bit. I also used this one quite a bit as well. So these look like they were like the most used shadows in this project, or in this palette, I should say. But I really did like it. Oh, and it smells like apples, you guys. It smells like apples. So this one got 4 uses from me. The Urban Decay and Naked palette. So this one came back into my life, and I ended up getting 4 uses out of it. This is another one where I want to put in my everyday drawer because I can use it every day and all day without getting bored with it. It can go with everything. It can make my lips look bold, my cheeks look bold. It just works. So I ended up getting 4 uses out of this one, and this one was sent in PR as well as this one. So both of these got use out of them, but I really did like them. Obviously, they would not be in my collection right now if I didn't like them. This one is not a surprise because I feel like every year I reach for this one always. It's like something I always remember. So this is my Z palette of old Too Faced eyeshadows, and I will tell you, look how many pans I have in this. This is one of those palettes where I just like it. I don't know. The formula is really nice on there. I got a little bit of everything, but it's more of like a sophisticated, colorful kind of palette. I know I can trust the formula. It lasts. Like I told you, some formulas are just well made and they take the time to use ingredients that'll last. These have lasted a long time for me, you guys, and I have quite a bit of pan in here. So this one got 4 uses from me, but I feel like I used it a little bit more and I got lazy with tallying it up because I know I remember thinking to myself, okay, I got to put this down. I never did. So I might have gotten more than 4 uses out of it this year. The second most used one was this one. This is the Natasha Denona Golden Palette. I have down that I've reached for this 6 times. So this one got reached for 6 times. This one's a palette that just worked in any season. It doesn't gravitate too warm, too cool. It's just perfect for all year round for me. And it's not too yellow. Like as far as these golds, like I have some options in here where it just looks like a neutral look and not necessarily one way or the other. So this one was a lot easy for me to use, and I did like using this a lot for work. So yeah, 6 uses out of this one. Last but not least, the one that I used the most without it being in a project pan, you guys, was the Danessa Myricks Groundwork. So I have tallied down 13 uses out of this one. I actually wanted to put this one on my eyes, but I had another eyeshadow palette that I really wanted to touch today. So this one, oh, and it smells so good. 13 uses. I just genuinely like this one. I can play around with my singles, with my Z palette singles, with my pigments, cream eyeshadows, whatever it is. And this one just works because you're getting warmer and cooler tones in here. So it's not everything. I can do my eyeliner with it. I can do my brows with it. I can do my contour with it. I can do my lips with it. I can line my lips, whatever it is. This just works for you, So it's a workhorse kind of palette. So I'm not surprised that this one was the one that was most used in 2024, gradually, naturally, organically, without me being forced to use this one. So kudos to you, Miss Danessa Myricks, because I had a feeling this one was going to be my top one, but I didn't think so. But when I looked at the numbers, sure enough, that was my #1 palette use. All right, guys, that was a great exercise for me. It got to show me what I use, what my preferences are, what I like to touch, what I didn't like if I did pull it out, what left my collection because it just, I knew I was being forced, or let me try it out one more time to see if I really want to keep it in my collection. I would highly recommend you try this out with your own collection for a full year, 6 months, 3 months, whatever it is. See what you reach for, and you will learn real quick what your preferences are and what you can get rid of. I took the time to track all of my eyeshadow palettes to see, or my usage, I should say, just to see where I stood. And this was very eye-opening for me. As you guys can tell that I decluttered quite a bit of eyeshadow palettes this year, and I feel like it's gonna happen again next year. Something's telling me it's gonna happen next year, and I might end up with 1 9 Alex drawers instead of the 2 that I currently have, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with that, you guys. I just wanna use and enjoy what I have because nothing is that unique anymore. It really, really is. All right, you guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section, what was your #1 palette used in 2024? I would love love to hear it. Thank you again for all of your support. I did post on my community tab a Q&A. So if you have any questions to ask me, anything at all, leave them there because I will be filming that very soon for you guys. So obviously the more questions, the better it is. And I will promise to answer every single one. Even if I'm done my makeup for that video, I will continue and answer them all. All right, that's all. Another video on the screen for your enjoyment. Until then,